Dedication to the Mother Mom, born, lived, and departed as a true force of nature. Introduction. It is the near future. Old wars have ended. New wars germinate. Autocrats and oppressive governments do what they do. Citizens of the world entrapped in the crossfires endure the repercussions. Yet a different kind of war subsists. In one form or another, it always has. Citizens of the world are more often unaware of the resultant battles. This kind of war is even more insidious than the devastation it causes. The powers behind it hide in invisible abodes of intrigue. They and their soldiers are quite willing to destroy everyone and everything in order to remake the world to their more acceptable image. In balance, both science and technology are entrenched in nature's authority, and to perfect humankind was nature made. Therefore, unconcerned with human time, human power, or human coffers, she forever provides harmonizing dynamics for the survival of her own, her present perfect. Prologue. San Francisco, California, USA. Paul Chadwick, Ph.D., works in the most well-respected, deeply funded capitalist venture firm in the San Francisco Bay Area. He is comfortable and pleased with the way his 68 years have gone thus far. He is a formidable fundraiser for deserving and potentially profitable startup companies in science and technology. Friends call him Dr. Paul. Dr. Paul flourishes in this second career, attributable to several distinctions. He has a former career as an illustrious biotech medical specialist. He has a distinguished professorial demeanor. He has devastating persuasion. He and his green-eyed former beauty queen wife, Susan, 48, have two daughters, Brianna, 4, and Raina, 19. They have one son, 17-year-old Paul Jr. They live in an expensive yet comfortable ranch-style home in exclusive Los Altos, California. Father and son share a love of old American cars and trucks. They each own an American muscle car and American hemi-engine truck, which they either restored or updated together. Their latest endeavor produced a handsome, hybridized Shelby Mustang. Susan and Rain share a love of money and all things that are the latest. Both drive the latest automobiles, trading in every year. Little Brianna loves bears and dogs, alive or stuffed or animated. It does not matter. Paul Jr.'s love of auto mechanics is so great he has convinced his father to let him leave the prestigious Stanford University to attend the innovative Detroit International Automotive Training Center in Michigan. Susan is outraged at this decision by her husband. Paul Sr. does not understand why his wife is so upset about their son's choice. Susan has not attended college. She chose beauty pageants as her school of higher learning. Nevertheless, this is just the latest decision to cause Susan to go into a diatribe concerning the downfall of their family. She defines the downfall as Paul's refusal to attend church services with her and the girls anymore, his refusal to let her remodel the kitchen and bath again, and his refusal to pay her and her 7 girlfriends' costs to vacation in Monaco this year. The last most egregious act, his refusal to buy her a new emerald and diamond necklace set. She is horrified at the thought of wearing the same set to this year's symphony opening that she wore last year. Susan convinced her husband and son to accept an invitation made to them by one of Dr. Paul's grateful clients. The invitation to spend the weekend in the lovely Sonoma Valley comes with the opportunity to drive the Infineon Raceway, formerly Sears Point Raceway, where Paul's grandfather had many times tested the mettle of automobiles. Both father and son have long desired to drive this raceway and to test the mettle of their handiwork. For this reason, Paul Sr. agrees uncharacteristically to leave his home for the weekend. He and his son decide to take the Shelby Mustang. The scenic drive takes them over the Golden Gate Bridge, where father and son stop in Tiburon to buy gifts for the girls. They purchase a 3-foot-tall New Zealand panda bear plushie for Brianna. They buy Rain a handmade cardigan sweater and matching skirt similar to the one she liked the last time they were here and did not buy. They splurge for an emerald and diamond necklace set for Susan. Not as expensive as the one she had chosen in San Francisco, but highly appropriate for a one-night wear to the symphony. They sit on the waterfront and eat a picnic lunch. Later they sidetrack to Petaluma to pick up a silky terrier puppy for Brianna from a breeder Dr. Paul knows. A few minutes before they turn off the Petaluma exit, Paul Jr. slowly turns to his father and apprehensively says, "Dad, your nose is bleeding." "Pull to the side of the road, son." Paul Jr. almost wrecks pulling off the road. "Dad, I don't feel so well. What is happening?" Dr. Paul Chadwick pulls his son's head onto his shoulder. He knows what is happening. He never thought it would happen to him or his family. He retrieves one of the 2 phones he carries. He presses 2 symbols on each cell phone. He drops the phones and speaks his last words. "I love you, son." Paul Jr. does not hear his father's last words. On the receiving end of one of the symbols pressed by Dr. Chadwick, a landline at the headquarters of the Department of Defense in Washington, D.C. rings. When no one answers, a satellite phone in Europe receives a text message. On the receiving end of the second symbol pressed, a computer at the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, awakens with red flashes and pings. This prompts the on-duty technical personnel to initiate emergency protocol procedures in Northern California. The technician also transmits a non-procedural text message to a private satellite phone in Minnesota. When Dr. Chadwick's personal phone rings for the 10th time and goes to voicemail again, the same Minnesota phone receives another text message from Northern California. It reads, "Done." The small town of Petaluma looks like a war zone. Several area police and sheriff's departments, the FBI, Homeland Security, Departments of Health and Human Services, and various other 3-letter agencies have converged on Northern California and are fighting over jurisdiction of a case that none of them has discerned any information about. The fact that the CDC was first on the scene has all law enforcement agencies in Northern California wanting a piece of the action. In fact, the only agency with authority is the CDC. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention now has full federal lead position in all matters of domestic human toxicity and contamination after Congress ignored a warning given to them in 2011 asking for a moratorium on natural gas fracking. Subsequently, scientists proved that over a 20-year period, the chemicals used in the fracking process caused a spate of infant birth mutations. The CDC has set up several hazard houses to prevent these political infighters from tramping over the area and to prevent the overhead media helicopters from taking pictures of what the news stations are reporting as the tragic death of a high-profile Bay Area resident and his son. Not one of the groups knows what danger these hazard houses cover. Nor do any of the agencies know who the resident in the car is, so most of them have set up satellite video to catch the latest news wire reports. All have sent representatives to the news station to find out where they acquired their information. A tall man in black wades into this foray, followed by 8 soldiers. The soldiers, as if on cue, begin moving all non-CDC personnel out of the area, making a half-mile perimeter around the main tent. The overhead airspace is now a no-fly zone. "I don't know who you are, but I know you don't have any authority here," screeches the small, beady-eyed representative from Homeland Security. "Who are you?" The tall man in black fatigues ignores his question. "I've got 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue on speed dial," he says, and hands the cell to the Homeland Security representative. The tall man listens to one side of the conversation. "The CDC was here and set up before I arrived. I have no idea who called them. They refused to talk to anyone here. The real problem is the military type in civilian clothes. He showed up with an accompaniment from Beale Air Force Base. They shut down access to the site. Yeah, they are trying to kick me out also. I do not know who they are. Here." He hands the phone to the man hovering over him. "Let me speak to your boss." "You don't think I know who your boss is? Tell him Staff 2 is on the line." "You do not need to know what a Staff 2 is. Just tell him." Moments pass. "He is glad I'm back." "That's nice." He hands the phone to the head of Homeland Security. "What? There must be some mistake. You are setting a dangerous precedence. Is this your decision or does it go higher?" He stares at the disconnected smartphone and turns to the tall man. "I guess you are in charge." "Thank you. You and the other alphabet soup can go now." The soldiers take charge of the perimeter. The tall man enters the main tent. Chapter 1. Houston, Texas, USA. Spring, 1 year and 2 months earlier. Enchanting magnolia, colorful maple, and towering evergreen trees anchor the landscaping around the campus of the Kessler Institute of Science and Technology outside of Houston, Texas, USA. Zia Strom stands in the outer office of the Institute's Dean of Quantum Genomics, prepared to shatter her parents' dream for her future.